You're right on time for News Watch on this, that day of July 2023. A very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Kennedy Kimani and Boniface Murithi will be assisting in the sign language interpretation. Now, if it is Monday, we have the Dialogue KE. And today in studio, I'll be joined by Nerea Okech, a governance expert, and Eric Mukono, a political analyst, to help us dissect on the state of the economy. You can join in on the conversation at Hope TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, and at Hope TV_KE on Twitter. Now, the High Court has dismissed the appointment of the 50 chief administrative secretaries by President William Ruto as unconstitutional. In a ruling delivered today by Judges Kani Kimondo, Hedwig Ongundi, and Alim Visram, the court said that the public participation for the creation of the position of CAS was only conducted for 23 CASs, and the creation of the additional 27 CASs did not adhere to the constitutional requirement of public participation. The court also ruled that the Public Service Commission did not prove that the public participation exercise covered the additional 27 CASs. Therefore, the establishment of the extra 27 CASs was unconstitutional. The ruling follows a petition by the Law Society of Kenya and Katiba Institute challenging the appointment process. The 50 CASs were sworn in on the 23rd of March this year by President William Ruto after the National Assembly declined to vet them, saying it had no constitutional authority to do so.
Public participation on the office of CAS was founded on a complement of 23 CASs. Doubt is erased by the following other fact. In the letter of 11th October 2022 by Dr. Joseph Kenywa, Head of Public Service, to the PSC, the Head of State requested the PSC to declare 23 vacancies for CASs. We note, however, that the special issue of Kenya Gazette Notice number 12432, dated 12th of October 2022, and the media advertisement the following day, calling for applications from suitable candidates, did not set the number of vacancies. Furthermore, the stay in the Court of Appeal preserved the original office created on 24th January 2018. Once that office was abolished on 21st September 2022, the newly created office and complement of 23 office holders could no longer benefit from that stay. Accordingly, the newly created office and fresh complement of 50 had to comply with the Constitution and the criteria set out earlier in Okia's case in order to be lawfully established. They did not comply. For the avoidance of doubt, the entire complement of 50 CASs is therefore unconstitutional.
Now to our topic of discussion tonight on the Dialogue and the move by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to press on with the planned review of salaries for all public sector workers, including state officers, has continued to elicit mixed reactions among various stakeholders. This comes after the Commission on Saturday defended their proposal amidst uproar at the same time overlooking President William Ruto's public remarks, which advised against the increment of salaries. SRC, however, noted that it will continue seeking public comments on the proposed review until the 13th of July, before gazetting the new salary structure for state officers later on this month. Our very own Grace Ahati with more on the story.
Top state officials, including President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, are set to get 14% salary increment on average as proposed by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC, a move that has continued to elicit mixed reactions from various quarters. While defending its proposal on Saturday, June 1st, SRC noted that the move is aimed at cushioning senior government officials from the effects of increased taxes under the Finance Act 2023.
And will advise for the other public officers.
SRC vowed to continue with its planned salaries review despite opposition from the president, with the commission's chairperson Lynn Mengich noting that the president is within his constitutional right to seek information regarding the harmonization of the wage bill across the public service, but not to instruct the commission on its mandate.
State officers, myself, my deputy, ministers, PSS, na wale wadosi wengine wabunge na wale wengine, sisi mambo yetu tungoje tafadhali.
Public sector is not aiming at taking pay to the highest level, what we have proposed. When we have said this is a proposal, and the Constitution clearly said we must undertake public participation, it actually means we must take seriously public participation.
In the SRC proposal for top state officers from 2024, President Ruto is set to earn 1.65 million shillings, up from his current 1.44 million shillings salary. On the other hand, Chief Justice Martha Koome will earn 1.4 million shillings, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua 1.4 million shillings, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu 1.3 million shillings, while Supreme Court judges will earn 1.29 million shillings. Among other top government officials, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Senate Speaker Amason Kingi will earn 1.26 million shillings, judges of the Court of Appeal 1.22 million shillings. Cabinet secretaries and governors will also get an equal salary of 1.06 million shillings according to the proposal. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Thank you so much, Grace Ahati, for that report. Moving on, over the past few days, Kenya has witnessed a significant surge in fuel prices, creating a ripple effect throughout various sectors of the society. One of the most affected groups are school children and their families. These are schools resumed today for the second half of the term. Here's our very own Cynthia Masibo with that report.
The recently announced rise in cost of fuel by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, has presented numerous challenges. As schools reopened today after a mid-term break, a hike in transport fees faced many students today, leaving some stranded at bus stops, especially those traveling out of town.
Nilikuwa nauliza kama wanaweza shukisha fare na watuongezee gari ndo tuende shuleni tusome.
Most parents also fear a resultant hike in school fees, further putting a strain on their finances.
Kwa majina naitwa James Odhiambo. Niko na mtoto wangu hapa anasoma Ogande Girls. Na tulikuja hapa saa 11 mpaka saa hizi inaelekea saa 7. Hakuna magari. Tumekaa hapa, hata umeona wengine ndio wale ndio sasa tunatafuta gari wapande. Kwa hivyo tunaomba serikali jameni, hii mambo ya mafuta wametuongezea leo, imetuaffect kabisa. Kwa sababu sisi kama wasasi tunaumia. Tulikuja hapa asubuhi, fare imepanda, pesa kuna, hiyo kasi pia kuna. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali waangalie hapo sana, kwa sababu hata saa hii kama ingekuwa ni zamani, saa hii watoto wangekuwa wako shule. Na saa hii hawako shule, mpaka saa hii imefika saa 7 watoto hawajaingia. Hatujui na ni watoto wasichana. Hatujui watafika shule saa ngapi. Kwa hivyo serikali tunaomba waangalie sana. Sisi kama wasasi tunaumia, kusema ukweli, tunaumia. Kama itaenda hivi for the next 6 months ama nini, sisi tutafanya namna gani?
Kwa majina naitwa James Aseta. Mimi ni mzazi pia ni Mkenya halisi, lakini leo tumeona changamoto. Tangu asubuhi tumeleta watoto wasafiri kurudi mashuleni, lakini hakuna magari, hatuoni utaratibu vizuri. So kutoka asubuhi tumekuwa hapa tangu saa 11:30 mpaka saa hizi hatujapata magari ama usafiri yeyote. Watoto waelekee Homa Bay. Sasa hatujui watafika saa ngapi ama gari zitatoka wapi.
While drivers of public service vehicles decried the hikes in fare, they also admit that push is also for the sustenance of their livelihoods.
Kwa majina naitwa James Nyariki, ni dereva ya Ongatarongai bus service. Shida tumepata kubwa sana ni banda ya mafuta. Mafuta iko juu zaidi. Kwanza siku ya leo wazazi kurudisha watoto shule imekuwa shida. Banda ya fare kuna mahali tuna charge 50 shillings, leo ilikuwa 70 to 80. Na ilikuwa shida kubwa sana kwa wazazi, anapofika kwa stage anapata fare imekuwa mara mbili.
Kwa majina naitwa Peter, na operate kwa matatu za kutoka Kiserian kufika town. Kulingana na hali ya mafuta kupanda, upande wa matatu naona wako sawa. Juu bei imepanda ya mafuta, hata abiria nao watafika bei juu kutoka Kiserian kufika town inakuwa 150, venye mafuta imepanda sasa ni 200. Sasa hatuna stage ya 20 bob. Ile stage ilikuwa ya 20, sasa ni 30 bob. Kwa hivyo sasa mtu mwenye anaumia ni abiria. Juu tukisema tubebe ile bei yenye ilikuwa ya kawaida, nadhani gari hata pia inaweza inamisha kama pikipiki, na gari kuinamisha ni ngumu. Sasa ile kitu sisi tumefanya ni kuongeza bei kulingana venye president ameongeza mafuta. Vile alisema bottom up, tumetoka chini tumepanda juu.
As Kenyans await the ruling of the court halting the Finance Bill 2023 from taking effect, they are now urging the government to take swift actions to stabilize fuel prices and ensure the availability of affordable transportation options.
I'm asking the government or whoever concerned to come and please come in the aid of us. You assist us.
For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Cynthia Masibo.
Thank you, Cynthia, for that report. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Chair Dr. David Oginde has urged Kenyans to maintain a positive attitude and spirit towards life so as to deal with the tough economic times. Speaking exclusively to Hope TV while reacting to the Finance Bill 2023, Dr. Oginde said that the high cost of living being witnessed in the country is a season that will soon come to pass. Now, while affirming that there will be ramifications of the Finance Bill, Dr. Oginde has said that it is not the only thing that is affecting our economic situation.
Take a positive attitude. What can I do in the space where I find myself in order to survive this season? Because I see it as a season that is going to come and it will pass. It is not going to last forever. And just that change of attitude in itself will help you to face every day and to live that day and to get into another day, because life is one day at a time, and we pray and hope that there are better days ahead of us. So, but when we focus just on one thing, like now, it is the finance bill. Finance bill indeed is going to affect us in its ramifications of the content of it, but it is not the only thing that is affecting our lives. So if we focus too much on this, it can cause you depression, ulcers, all these sicknesses that come as a result of a body that is not well set. But if you take it in stride and say, okay, this has come, this has happened, how do I just adjust myself? And God has given us a mind and a body and a system that is very adaptable.
On that note, we take a short commercial break here on News, but after the break, we still have more news. See you on the other side.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. Now to some politics, and opposition leader Raila Odinga is expected to lead anti-government protest on Friday so as to express the rejection of President William Ruto's newly announced tax measures in the Finance Bill 2023. Odinga has asked Kenyans to turn up in large numbers on Friday, a day that coincides with the Saba anniversary clamor for multi-partyism, to demonstrate their disapproval of the Finance Bill, which he describes as oppressive and will only hurt Kenyans by raising the cost of living. Moving on, and the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, has officially launched the Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2022 main report. The report, which is the 7th to be launched, focuses on the issues related to the economy, society, good health for all, the use of family planning and nutrition. As our very own Alice Diana now reports, in the findings, Samburu County leads with the highest percentage of teenage pregnancies, while Nyeri and Nyandarua have the lowest percentages.
A recent report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, KNBS, has revealed that 50% of women aged 15 to 19 years in Samburu have ever been pregnant. The 2022 Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, KDHS, launched in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders, further flags out West Pokot County as having the second highest number of teenage pregnancies at 36%, followed by Marsabit at 29%, while Narok and Meru stand at 28% and 24% respectively. On the other hand, the report reveals that Nyeri, Nyandarua, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Vihiga and Nairobi have the lowest percentages of teenage pregnancies. The Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2022 has also revealed that the total fertility rate for women in Kenya has declined to an average of 3 to 4 children. This marks a significant decrease from the 2014 figure of 3 to 9 children per woman. Women in Nairobi have the lowest fertility rate at 2.6%, followed by Nyamira and Machakos at 2.7 and 2.8 respectively. Kirinyaga, Mombasa and Kiambu also recorded a low fertility rate at 2.8%, 2.9% and 2.9% respectively. Counties in the northern Kenya, however, recorded the highest fertility rates at 7.7% for Mandera, 6.9% for West Pokot, Wajir at 6.8% and Marsabit at 6.3%. Meanwhile, the report shows that a third of households in Kenya are headed by women. In rural areas, 36% of the households are headed by women compared to 31% in urban areas. In terms of household wealth, the most commonly found item in Kenyan households is a mobile phone at 94%, followed by a bed at 93%. At the same time, more Kenyan households own a radio than a television. According to the Health Demographic Health Survey 2022, there has been a significant reduction in malnutrition among children under the age of 5 in Kenya over the past 30 years. Currently, 18% of Kenyan children are stunted, 5% are wasted, and 10% are underweight. The KDHS data was collected from February 17th to July 31st, 2022, with the sample size computed at 42,300 households. The survey was done through a questionnaire where they used the household questionnaire, the woman's questionnaire, the man's questionnaire, and the biomaker questionnaire. These findings, according to the Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha, will shape policy decisions and interventions aimed at advancing universal health coverage and improving health outcomes for all citizens. Alice Diana, Hope TV News Watch.
Thank you, Alice, for that report. Now, the church in Kenya has received a delegation of pastors from South Korea's biggest church, the Yoido Full Gospel Church, ahead of the 4-day conference and crusade dubbed Hope in Kenya 2023. Addressing the press at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport upon receiving the South Korean clergymen led by their senior pastor Yong Hong Lee, the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya Steering Committee Chair Bishop Samuel Munai said the conference aims to bring hope to Kenyans as they face different challenges. He rallied all ministers of the gospel to attend the conference that is set to be held at Sitam Valley Road and the crusade at the Jacaranda grounds in Embakasi. Here's our very own Melissa Odur with that story.
The arrival of the delegation from South Korea's Yoido Full Gospel Church, which is the largest Pentecostal church in the world, is perhaps the biggest signal for the church in Kenya that indeed there is hope despite the difficulties her people are facing. This is according to the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya EAK, which is organizing the conference dubbed Hope in Kenya 2023 conference. The EAK Steering Committee Chairman Bishop Samuel Munai explained that Hope in Kenya is a 3-day conference bringing together ministers of the gospel for an empowerment session to enrich their respective ministries.
The event that is coming in Sitam Valley Road is Hope in Kenya. And the one who is going to preside over that is the man of God from South Korea, from Yoido Full Gospel Church. And therefore is coming to bring the message of hope to the nation. There is hope in Christ. There is hope in God. And so people should not give up in their lives.
Local clergymen will also minister at the conference to be held at Sitam Valley Road at the end of this week.
In the conference, we are having fine servants of God who will be ministering the word of God. We have Bishop J.B. Masinde, who will be ministering. We have Apostle William Kimani, who will be ministering. We have Bishop Gichengo, who will be ministering. We have your own Bishop Callistus Odede, the presiding Bishop Sitam, who will be ministering. We have the presiding Bishop Kenya Assemblies of God, Bishop Philip Kitoto, who will be ministering. And so this is bringing hope to the clergy, bringing hope to the people and to the whole nation of Kenya. And together we want to say, there is hope in Jesus Christ.
And so we invite all the pastors, all the bishops, pastors, evangelists, apostles, prophets, every minister of the gospel at Sitam from 5th, 6th, and 7th. We shall be there from 9 to evening.
This while drumming up the theme of hope in Jesus Christ as the running message that the conference brings to the people of Kenya to encourage them as they surmount various challenges since the time of the COVID-19 pandemic to the current economic downturn and post-2022 elections.
And this mission is coming to us to bring hope after COVID, to bring hope after the elections, to bring hope in this current economical situation in our country.
This is the time now we need to critically seek God's favor. The Bible says, the book of Jeremiah, chapter number 33, verse 3, that seek me and I will answer your prayer. So whatever we are doing, we want people to understand that without God, there's nothing we can do. And with God, all things are possible. So right now, I want to even pray that our economy, our peace, our security in this nation, and our leadership, we need to just seek God's favor. Even as we provide as we servants of security services, we appreciate the fact that God has enabled us to manage the security of this nation.
For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Melissa Oduor.
Let's now get down to business. Standard Chartered Bank has released the Half-2 Global Market Outlook report dubbed Keep Calm and Carry On to guide investors on their next move. The report states that in the second half of 2023, two extreme narratives will be jostling for investors' attention. First, a no-landing scenario which argues for chasing equities higher, and secondly, a scenario where risky assets are not worth holding at all as a deep recession awaits.
The sustainability agenda of the bank is very much integral as part of the bank's business strategy. And this is very intentional because we believe that sustainability is just that. In order to guarantee our sustainability over the long term, as well as the sustainability of all our stakeholders, customers, employees, supply chain, and the community, it is important that we integrate the sustainability agenda as part of our business strategy.
It's been a wonderful journey. The challenges have built on our growth. We've learned through the challenges, and we've also been able to impact other people from the challenges that we've overcome. So it's been a big learning curve, and I really appreciate each and every aspect of the journey.
And to some sport in action now, Wade Kilburn emerged as the overall winner of the 7th leg of the 2023 NCBA Golf Series, held at the Par 72 Current Country Club on Saturday. The tournament, which witnessed an impressive turnout of over 200 golfers, showcased exceptional talent and fierce competition, solidifying its status as one of the premier golfing events in the country. Following the current event, all eyes will be on Uganda Golf Club as it prepares to host the 8th leg, which will also be the first qualifier event in Uganda on the 15th of this month. It will then return to Kenya on the 22nd for their 9th leg, which will be held at the Royal Nairobi Golf Club.
The NCBA Golf Series is a platform that we set up in 2021. And the idea was, one, to meet with our customers so they give us feedback as we play golf. But more importantly, because we can't all be on the golf course, is really to foster connections between golfers and among golfers. And I think it continues to do so. We also have within the platform the Junior Series. And the Junior Series has seen over 3,000 kids join and play golf across East Africa. The idea was really simple. That one, that Kenya can have fantastic golfers as we find in the world, but we must start them early. Indeed, I think I said here last year, and I still believe that in 10 years we'll have PGA players from this country.
Now, KCB-RFC on Sunday crowned the overall winners of the Dallas Sevens Rugby Tournament, which is the opening leg of the 2023 National Sevens Circuit. After beating Cabras 17-5 in the final at the Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium in Kisumu County, Strathmore Leos emerged third after defeating Kenya Harlequins 24-19 in the third playoff clash. Nondescript, on the other hand, won the Challenge Trophy after beating host Kisumu RFC 12-10. The 2023 National Sevens Circuit will head to Mombasa County next weekend for the second leg before the Nakuru edition.
I'm very proud of the boys. They've been rewarded for the hard work they've put. They've been there, they put on the effort, they've worked very hard. We are very grateful for first of all, to thank the bank for the support they've given us. They've given us that humble place to just prepare and to be able to bring a team that is able to present us. A very big thank you to the technical bench who has worked with the boys, and a big thank you to the players who have come in and learned a new system, and they have embraced it, and now they're reaping the success out of it. I think the biggest thing for me is what works as a team. So it's not an individual who has come in. The teamwork and the camaraderie that they're putting on is something that we've been looking at. So we'll just keep on promoting the team aspect of it. We don't want just to create an individual. We want to create a better team. A team that is able to oil each other and get the win that they need. It's good now that we're champion. We know that we can win. It's a big boost on us and our morale. So we'll just keep on working. A game at a time when we go to Mombasa. Give others also, we still have a few players who we are interested. We're still going to give others also a chance to come in. So it's just a learning process for us, and to see if we can conquer everything.
Well, sports is done, so is the news tonight, but we're not done yet for the night. After this break, we'll have a big discussion for the night. The Dalo KE and my guests, Nerea Okech and Eric Mukono, are already in the studio to dissect on the whole matter. So see you after this short news break.
Hope Media invites you to experience the ultimate worship encounter dubbed Uweponi Worship Experience Chapter 2. Mark your calendars for July 7, 2023 from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Sitam Valley Road. Prepare yourself for a night of heavenly melodies and powerful worship. Gracing the stage will be the renowned gospel music minister Dr. Ipiana from Tanzania and the sensational Peter Watako from Kenya. But here's the best part. Entry is absolutely strictly free. That's right, it's open for anyone with a heart for worship. Can't make it in person? No worries. Tune in to Hope TV and Hope FM on Facebook and YouTube pages to join the soul-stirring celebration at Hope FM Live and Hope TV Kenya. Don't miss out on this divine encounter. #Experience Hope.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. Now, tonight on the Dialogue KE, we delve on the state of the economy. We've seen the state officers being proposed to, the salaries to be proposed to be increased by 14%. What does this mean to the hustlers? And regarding the Finance Bill 2023, Okiya Omtata went to the courts, and the courts ordered that the Finance Bill do not take effect until the 5th of this month. Now, in studio to discuss on these matters, we have Eric Mukono, a political analyst and also a familiar face on this program. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And our newbie, Nerea Okej, a governance expert. Welcome to the studio.
It's my pleasure.
I guess before we begin on the discussion on the state of the economy, maybe you can just delve a bit on the ruling today by the courts to declare unconstitutional the 50 CASs.
Well, I
what's
mean,
your take on that?
In my opinion, I think the courts have acted independently. That's number one.
Yeah.
And I expect the president to respect that decision. And I also expect the politicians that were being rewarded by those positions to respect that decision. Because I personally think that it's the politicians that need these positions, and the rewards have to go to politicians. But essentially, we need to figure out another way for the politics of this country to work, other than placing everybody who loses an election in the governance of the country. And Kenyans have said this numerous times, that we do not necessarily have the best cohort this time around. So the president needs to listen, and he needs to move on to the next level and run the country.
Yeah. Eric, do you think the president is going to obey the court orders? We've seen in the previous governments where the executive does not obey at times the court orders. Are we going to see the same replicated?
If history is anything to go by, then most likely I would want to give them a benefit of doubt, but I'm very skeptical about it. I don't think that the president is going to obey court orders, but I would want to let them know the same way they celebrated the same ruling on the BBI and on the hot air. I think they should embrace this ruling the same way. So I am asking the president and his team. I have seen one of the senators saying that the judiciary has gone rogue. I mean, it is unfortunate that when a ruling goes against you, the judiciary becomes rogue. But when it is on your side, and it is the judiciary rules in your favor, then everything is okay. I mean, we are just a free country. Let everyone do whatever they are doing independently without having other institutions and other arms of government coming in. So I ask the president to just accept and move on.
And move on.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on now to the next topic of discussion. And actually, you've seen the Salaries and Remuneration Commission propose a 14% pay rise to all state officers at the expense of the quote-unquote hustlers. I mean, what does this mean to us as a nation at this point in time?
Well, I think the country is angry and hungry, and the country is saying we cannot afford, to pay this. But I mean, to his credit, the president just about 2 days ago, said that he has put on hold the increment to state officers. So the only increment that takes effect in July would be for the junior civil servants below the level of the PS. But that said, I am aware of the politics of this country, and I can tell Kenyans that it is coming. Once you take care of the critical mass, because the civil servants are over 900,000. So you're looking at almost 1 million people who are going to be satisfied because you have cushioned them, against, the effects of the finance bill, so to speak. But, once you do that, then they will calm down. So I think it's a chess game. And I don't think it's going to end well for Kenyans, if you ask my opinion. Definitely, the increment to state officers is coming, because they are the decision makers in this country. So they will hold the country hostage once they go through the hurdle of making sure the other civil servants are being paid. So I don't think we are winning there as Kenyans.
Before we get to you, Eric, let's just listen to what the president said regarding the SRC proposal.
The state officers, myself, my deputy, ministers, PSS, na wale wadosi wengine wa bunge, na wale wengine, sisi mambo yetu tungoje. Tafadhali. Hiyo mshahara itakwama hapo. Mimi nimeona watu wanasema mshahara ya kuna watu fulani, hapana. Hiyo mshahara ingoje hapo. Until I have instructed the SRC to give us international best practice, because we need to reduce the gap between all of us who work for the people of Kenya. We need to make sure that the gap between the person paid the least and the person paid the most is not too big, because we are all workers. It is not possible that the people at the top earn 100 times more than the people at the bottom. It's not right. Because we live in the same country, we buy the same food, we go to the same shop, we go to, I have told SRC there is an internationally accepted, it's called compression formula. Until they come back to me to tell me we meet that threshold, hii salaries yetu itangojea.
Eric, your reaction on that? Do you think the president has the powers to direct what SRC needs to do?
Kennedy, SRC is a constitutional body that is not answerable to any arm of government. And so I don't think SRC is actually doing what they are supposed to do. SRC is doing what they are mandated to do by the Constitution. And so the president has no powers to tell SRC as a commission to not give state officers the 14% increase. So I want to agree with Nerea that at the end of the day, we're going to see the 14% increase on the in the state officer above the cadre of the permanent secretary.
So eventually it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's just a way to try and appease the masses down here, the hustler nation, you know, and then eventually they'll then come and get their thing. Of course, it's going to go through the public participation, but there's not going to be anything different that's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, actually,
Yes.
Nerea, you said that the mood of the country right now is angry regarding this. And we've come at a time whereby the finance bill has already passed. Kenyans are going to pay the tax on the housing fund. And the president has also proposed the NHIF. And then after all this, the president, the SRC that is, decides to increase the salaries of the senior state officers. I mean, is it a disservice to the many hustlers who elected them?
I mean, I think, just going to a bit of the numbers, in this country. I think the tax base in this country is strained. I mean, we are busting. Everybody is feeling the strain of it all. I mean, just recently, we filed taxes. 6.3 million Kenyans filed taxes. And against a population of 50 million, and even if you take out, those who are unemployed and those who are below the age of majority, we still have a significant number. That is just under 30%, people who are paying taxes in this country and shouldering the burden, of this country. And I think, when you look at that vis-a-vis, the finance bill, I saw, IPRA giving us the new rates, for fuel, for petroleum products. So number one, there was a reduction in IDF, that is the import declaration fees. There was, by about from 3.5 to 2.5. There was also a reduction, But when you do not reduce it, even the railway development levy was reduced from 2% to 1.5%. But it doesn't come into effect because what we are dealing with is the imports that were done just before, June the 14th. So Kenyans have to wait for another month. In Garissa, they are buying fuel, petrol, at 209 shillings. In Mombasa, it's about 192. How can Kenyans not be angry? Because once we increase the cost of fuel, what does that mean? I'm going to buy food more expensively. For the first time, people who have never reached out to me for help are calling me to ask me for help. They need to go to the hospital, they need to take their children to school, because everybody is strained. And I am strained alongside thousands of other Kenyans. So it becomes very difficult.
You're not alone.
I'm not alone. So what happens in the country is very simple. If I'm helping, there's black tax. One employed Kenyan takes care of up to 30 people. So if I've been supporting them, 5,000, 10,000 shillings every month, I'm not going to change my lifestyle. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off support to my relatives.
Exactly.
And that means they're going to suffer even more. So at some point, the president needs to sit down with his cabinet and think, talking about good governance, it's not just about tax. We need to balance. How do we raise enough revenue? Vis-a-vis, how do we stimulate the economy so that we build business?
Exactly.
Yeah, but if business are not growing, we don't have businesses growing because of overtaxation, because of barriers. You have somebody, being asked for all manner of licenses. That means businesses will close down. A friend of mine just says, only today, 5 women are saying they're moving. They're shipping out of Kenya. So the president needs to listen.
It was actually a top story today on the Daily Nation.
Yes.
How many youths actually live in the country.
Thank you.
Regarding the high cost of living in the country. I mean, we have seen the Kenya Kwanza government drove on the hustler narrative, to caution Kenyans from the tough economic times. But right now, they're actually cautioning themselves. The irony.
Kennedy, let me remind you something. Last week we sat here talking about demonstrations, on whether demonstrations are back.
Actually, they will be back on Friday.
No. I just want to remind you something you seem to have forgotten. And you asked me a question whether these demonstrations would be peaceful. And the demonstrations were all about the finance bill and whatever the government and the Kenya Kwanza government has done. And I want to confirm you today, probably you never watched news the following day.
I was actually on news. So.
I want to confirm to you that we had a very peaceful deliberation at Kamukonji grounds.
No, but think about this. Think about this. A Kenyan who has no job. youth unemployment is at 67%. That's against a national average of less than 13%.
Exactly.
So tell me this. That young person knows that they're being overtaxed. Anytime they buy bread, they buy milk. Anytime they board a matatu, everything is increased. And that person feels they need to go and demonstrate to show government that they need to be listened to.
Exactly.
And yet they have nothing to lose. Because people who have something to lose will be scared of going out there, will be scared of causing any chaos. So how can somebody be peaceful when they have nothing to lose? So that is for the government to think. The president needs to think. We have more people with nothing to lose in this country. I think that's a very sad fact. We need to look at how to remedy that situation, because that is a recipe for chaos. We are not going anywhere.
Actually, Kenyans are actually wondering, now where do we go next? We have the opposition, and many of the MPs have actually moved on to the government side. We also saw that during the voting of the finance bill. Now, last week we were discussing about the demonstrations. Do you think that's the only solution to the common mwananchi right now?
It is a solution in as much as it's a way to vent, in my opinion. Because when somebody is not listening, when you have said it is punitive, for you to bring a savings, quote unquote, for housing, and Kenyans were up in arms, and then you listen and say, okay, 3% is very high. Then you bring it back by making it a tax of 1.5%. So some people focus on the 1.5%, but they don't think that, you know what, this has now become a tax. It's no longer your own saving. But even when you think about it, how long would it take for an ordinary Kenyan to save enough to buy houses? Real estate in Kenya is overpriced. So when we are talking burden, it's a burden literally everywhere. So those are the kind of people we are telling to be patient. Those are the kinds of people the government is telling that, you know what, we have actually eased the burden on production of food. So you should expect to feel better, But by the time the season has turned and you are paying high prices on fuel, we are going to need to transport the maize from the farms.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, Eric, many Kenyans have argued that President William Ruto could have taken the easier route by getting more loans, by bringing about subsidies on products. But he's actually taking the harder route and taxing Kenyans, that he should be given time.
Looking at it, Kennedy, from an economic perspective, taking loans is not sustainable for any government. Borrowing is not sustainable for any government. And of course, on this I agree with him. And as well, subsidies are not sustainable for governments. But looking at it, the president needs to be sincere with Kenyans, whether really it is about not taking loans, because looking at the last 6 months, he has actually taken more loans compared to what the last year time like this. I mean, he's not being genuine with Kenyans, He's absolutely not being genuine with Kenyans. But also to add on to what my sister Nerea has said here, that it is an opportunity, and going out there is an opportunity for Kenyans to let the government understand that yes, indeed, you have passed the finance bill, and there is very little we can do about it. But even with that, we need you to know that we are not happy. And also, again, the court is an opportunity, and going to the court is an opportunity to let the government know that as well, because you refuse to listen to us, we have an alternative to go to the courts. And the courts somehow, looking at the last few days, we have a very sober judiciary, we have a very independent judiciary, and they are going to caution us from some of these things. And hopefully, we're going to tame this Kenya Kwanza government.
Talking about taming the Kenya Kwanza government through the judiciary, we've seen Senator Okiya Omtatah going to court and actually getting court orders that the finance bill should not start being implemented. But we've seen EPRA go ahead and hike the fuel prices. What's your take on this?
I mean, as I said, I'll take you back.
Yeah.
Not only have they gone ahead to implement, they have also implemented, a section of, the levies that they were not supposed to. I mean, really, how angry and hungry will Kenyans get for the government to listen? I mean, credit to the president on, giving concessions to Kenyans. When you say, I'm not going to increase our salaries, that's a good thing. But then Kenyans do not believe you. I think that's the problem.
Because actually, SRC say that the president cannot advise them.
Exactly. It's independent. And then again, paying taxes is fine. Kenyans pay taxes. I do not mind paying taxes as a Kenyan. But what I do mind is the fact that I do not see my taxes being used for the benefit of others who are not as privileged as I am to have a payslip. I think that's the biggest problem. So President Ruto, Kenyans are telling you that they want you to listen, but they do not trust your people to deliver. The government is barely a year old. But think about it this way. You already have a huge scandal about importation of beans, cooking oil. So as Kenyans who are struggling with the prices of these basic commodities, we have ministers in office who are enriching themselves. And when you have scandals in the media of ministers buying homes of, over 100 million, so Kenyans are going to ask themselves, so do we put people in office so that they can benefit, their families and their friends and their relatives, or can they work for Kenyans? I think we do not mind. We can bear the burden. I'm amongst the 6.3 million Kenyans who are bearing the burden. But I don't mind if it's working. There are countries that have a higher tax rate, but why is it that in Kenya we seem to be, going back and forth? Case in point, NHIF. The president says it's 2.7%. That's coming. And looking at the Constitution of Parliament, it's going to pass. So it means he's going step by step. Yes. So it's like a pound of flesh every single day that he's taking from Kenyans. We saw the housing levy pass. So it's like he wants to get done with the one and move to the next step. NHIF just had a major crisis. People were being turned away from hospitals because they were not being given their remittance. So they just got it just a few weeks ago. But how do we know that the next one is coming? How can I trust that if I increase it to 2.7?
It's usually going to come. We have one somewhere.
It is coming. My worry is everything that Kenyans feel pain towards is coming.
Kennedy, let me try and put this into perspective for Kenyans to understand.
Yeah.
The increase of the fuel levy from 8% to 16% means that the cost of production for basic commodities, bread, maize flour, these very basic commodities increases. The cost of manufacturing of, say, things like, very basic things like medicine and all that also increases. The operational cost of an average home that needs cooking oil to cook, and some of these very basic needs also increases.
Yeah.
Again, I remind you, part of what I have been doing here for the last few weeks is that this government ran on the narrative of cushioning the hustler nation, the mama mboga and the mtu ya boda boda and mkokoteni. And that narrative was all over. We heard it from the president, we heard it from his deputy, the prime minister. But now what we are seeing them do is totally different. It's absolutely different. Let me just put it again into perspective, and so that you see how bad of a situation this is. We have employers in this nation who are supposed to contribute 1.5% tax for each and every of their employees. Take, for instance, an employer who has 100 employees and he has to contribute 1.5% for their housing scheme. Probably this is an employee who has already built in the village and they don't even need this house. An employee like Nerea who probably has a house in
I
Hobart.
do. I do.
And she's supposed to contribute the 1.5%.
Yeah.
I mean, what is going to happen to some of these businesses? They either lay off so that they can afford that. They either lay off or close down, you know?
But you see, the Kenya Kwanza government have argued that they came into office when the coffers were empty. That has been the argument, and they're building from scratch, quote unquote. You know, do you think that they need just to be given time to actualize most of their agendas on their manifesto?
we have a very, I mean, we have a very sly, is it called sly or slime government? You know, they lie to us on broad daylight. I mean, there's no way you can tell us that you came into office when the coffers were empty, yet a few days down the line or a few weeks, you have come and told us we have money to pay 50 CASs. A CAS takes home the same salary as a permanent secretary, which is around 780,000. In a year, the total wage bill of the CASs is around 590 million shillings.
Yeah.
In 4 years, when they are going to be in office, that's going to be around 1.8 billion. I mean, this is money that can be used to employ teachers. This is money that can be used to employ community workers. And then you come and tell us that you came in and found empty coffers, yet we have money, somewhere, somehow, we have money that can pay, miraculously, we have money that can pay 50 CASs. I mean, it is hard to believe. It is very hard to believe.
Is it a result of our political system? You have to reward your loyalists.
Let me tell you, the plain truth is that Kenya was never a hustler nation, as Kenya Kwanza put it during the campaign. That was a campaign gimmick.
So
and Kenyans need to learn to differentiate campaigns from reality. I think that's the biggest lessons Kenyans will learn. Those are some of the biggest lessons that we have as a country. And everybody is saying it. Essentially, look at, and they keep telling us every day. Now we have a prime cabinet secretary. Yes, with an office funded, with the spouse's office that's funded.
And fuel gas.
And, you know, everything. And he keeps saying, I think he said one time that Kenyans need to tighten their belt, that they need to be given time, at least a year, to resolve every issue that they had. You know, forgetting that the president swore that once he puts the Bible down, then it's a new Kenya, it's new business, it's business unusual.
I think he needs to be reminded. Sorted. You know, he thinks he's still having the Bible, so probably he needs to be, you know, he goes
We need to find that Bible. Clearly there's something missing on that Bible table. But, you know, Kenyans are seriously saying, and the government is hearing, whether they are listening or not is another matter. But Kenyans are angry. You can tell every single day.
I can tell it from your face.
That Kenyans are saying that you have to change tact. As a government, you have to change tact. And when I sit here, I represent Kenyans. I represent lots of women. I happen to have been elected as the first Miss President in this country. So a lot of women who tell me, Nerea, we are struggling.
So true.
I mean, so many chamas with the women. People are defaulting on loans. Go to SACCOs, people are defaulting because people have been fired. They cannot afford it. You know, the minute you take off 10,000 shillings from somebody's payslip, that's a crisis.
So true.
Because already people are operating on the minimum 1/3, especially the civil servants. I don't even know, when you tell them that you're going to increase their salary as a priority, they have to know that they were operating on the 1/3 rule so that they don't go below 1/3 and continue to get loans, because Kenyans are surviving on loans. So essentially, even if you increase it, it's going to be swallowed by all these taxes that you have increased.
Nerea,
yes.
As you conclude, because the time is not on our side, if you met the president today, now that you are the first Miss President, I just had to bring that up. What will you advise him regarding the situation, the economic situation in the country? What solution will you offer?
I think number one is we have a problem in the Ministry of Trade, so fire the guy and get somebody who can actually not cut deals using Kenya's time and money. Yes, for me, that's the first thing I would tell him. And then number 2, rein in on your CSS. Because it's not a life of luxury. They're not on holiday. They came to work. Yes, because the president and even the deputy president is on record as reporting to the office at 5 a.m. I mean, but when you report to the office at 5 a.m. and Kenyans are not seeing a difference, when you report at 5 a.m., so what are we saying? That we need to put you on a performance improvement plan as Kenyans because you work for us. So that's what I'm telling you, Mr. President. You're on a PIP, effective today. Yeah, that's it.
Eric,
Yes.
The courts.
You don't want to allow me to address the president. It's a
You don't have the privilege.
It's an
Eric.
opportunity to address
You do
the
not have the
president.
privilege.
Are the solutions and the hopes of Kenyans now on the courts? Are we going to see the finance bill reversed?
As I have told you, we have, looking at history, Kennedy, we have governments that don't obey court orders, and we have seen it from what EPRA has done. EPRA is just a bait just to see what the reaction is going to be. And so probably it's going to give hopes to Kenyans a bit that the courts are protecting us. But going a few weeks down the line, you'll see it from your payslip. you are actually going to it's very unlikely.
Okay,
that
now
the
your
government,
opportunity now to address the
here it is, Mr. President. It's very unfortunate, but also a very fortunate moment that I am getting to address you. You need to listen to Kenyans. The same way that you're coming on ground during the campaigns and talking to hustlers and asking, situshughulikie huyu mama mboga, situshughulikie huyu mtu wa bodaboda kwanza. And then the mama mboga ended up being the CASs and the prime cabinet secretary. Now you need to come back and we need to tell you the truth. Because people who are around you are actually lying to you.
Yeah.
People who are around you are there to feed their stomachs and to feed themselves and make sure that their lives are good.
Perfect.
So I actually just want to ask you, simple, just come on the ground yourself and listen to Kenyans and what Kenyans are saying and get to have a glimpse of what Kenyans are going through, a glimpse and a feel of what Kenyans are going through. Because the situation out here is bad. It's very bad. It's very bad.
The situation is very bad. We've talked about a lot of problems, affecting our countries and, our country, and you've offered solutions. Is there any hope?
Well, I think there's hope. From my accounting background, I think the only thing that the president needs to do with his team is to expand the tax base. I'm happy about, KRA looking at, expanding it using, automation. I know there's a tax on gambling when you place a bet, when you win. They're doing that. And then, of course, I know about this, data agreement, data exchange kind of agreement with Safaricom that allows them to anybody who is running a business with a pay bill. Those are very good steps. And those are very positive things, that are happening in the country. But then again, that base is still not large enough. Because if people are not happy about the way their taxes are being managed, what they're going to do is to avoid it. So let's stimulate the economy so that, and people are happy enough not to avoid tax, so that we can expand the base and then ease the burden on these 6.3 million Kenyans who have filed their returns, and of course up to about 5 million who did not file, because possibly they didn't have anything to file. And even of the 6.3 million, we have the nil filers, because the government will still charge you 2,000 shillings if you do not file. Some of these things are ridiculous. We have to look at all these, penalties that come from Kenya Revenue Authority. Are they making money? And then the biggest issue is the government needs to find the missing traders, those people who are coming for exemptions when they do not actually trade. They are costing us a lot of money when they are, when they buy zero-rated inputs, and yet they are not selling. So that means that they are taking a huge chunk of money. So I'm glad KRA is taking steps to look at all that. So all this will bring revenue back into the coffer. So those are solutions that are there, but we can enhance them and expand them. Yes, and I am happy with that. But let us now still continue sealing the loopholes so that we see our money working. I'm willing to pay 40% tax if I'm very sure I'm going to be on a neat road, a smooth one, I'm going to have piped water, it's going to be safe. I mean, all that, I have security, I don't have to, look behind my back every time I'm walking in town. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Eric, your sentiments, any hope?
My sister Nerea has talked from an accounting perspective. Allow me to talk from a political perspective.
Yeah, conclude, yeah.
I think the president needs to get the right people around him and people who are going to advise him the right way. If that is sorted, if he gets, just like my sister Nerea said, if we get Moses Kuria out of that and just ask him, we build him a home in Gatundu and ask him to rest, he has done enough. Yeah. I think we just need the right people around him.
How about the common mwananchi?
The common mwananchi, there is hope for the common mwananchi. If we get our policies right, if we get the members of parliament make laws that are going to benefit the mwananchi and not benefit the government, then we will be at a point where the mwananchi can be proud of his country, Yeah.
I guess that's a very good point to end this conversation right here on the dialogue. At least for once you've had gender balance.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I am known to carry seats to tables where there are no women.
Hey.
So good for you.
Asante sana,
Yes.
Mr. President, for coming through. And Eric, a familiar face on the dialogue.
I am also glad to Miss President.
I guess that's a very good point to end it there. Thank you so much for watching Newswatch and the Dialogue KE. On behalf of the whole team that made this broadcast a success, have yourselves a blessed night. My name is Kennedy Kimani, and Boniface Muredi has been the sign language interpreter.